All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. My wife isn't feeling too well, so I'm gonna make a quick video here. I'm probably gonna chapter all three together, but yeah, there were two comments on YouTube today telling me to look at the 3D printing sector, and I will say I'm liking these three right now. So we're gonna look at NNDM, DDD, and then SSYS. Okay, so I'll give you a small little story. One of the first and maybe the best memories of CES I have was going to see the 3D printing on the actual floor. One of the first few years it was there, I feel like it was always behind closed doors and you need to be someone really important to go see it. I remember when they were actually on the floor, and man, I really believed that 3D printing would have been so much more by now. I remember, and these dudes were smart, the girls were smart, they were really nice too, and they were telling me stories of applications. And, you know, theoretically, if you broke a glass, if you broke a plate or some basic things, you wouldn't go to the store anymore, right? You would just print it at your house. And I really believe that these little 3D printers would be used more for truly basic applications, but I mean that in the most, like, respectful way. Instead, they're a little more arts and crafts, and they're really big in the collector scenes, and it's an interesting use for them. But yeah, I sincerely believed mainstream adoption would have happened by now, and I thought that roughly 10 years ago, give or take. So I'm not sure if it's the cost of the machine, if it's the cost of the actual plastics and materials that are used for the 3D themselves. But yeah, just my little not very educated in the space thoughts on it. But overall, I've loved the space. I still do. I believe there is a general use for it in very practical applications throughout regular life. You know what I mean? But we're here for the technicals, and I gotta say, I'm liking the technicals. All right, NNDM, you can see it here. It is doing its best to escape all the moving averages. Clearly, it's been over, but I can't quite call this a break just yet. DDD, I don't believe is over them. Yeah, it's not over them just yet. It's trying for sure, but definitely an interesting cluster right there. And then SSYS, this one's actually the closest to over them all. This one's actually riding the 8 and the 20 relatively well, but really never seeing that confirmation. One thing, and I mentioned it on the Discord this morning, SSYS. I thought someone was buying them out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was them buying someone. But again, I haven't really looked in the space in a long time. But I thought there was going to be a pretty big acquisition, and I thought, excuse me, that this company was involved. Maybe it happened. Maybe they acquired someone. I don't really, like I said, know the story. But if you know the details there, let me know. But again, interesting setups on what may be a newer tech sector that hasn't taken off like the other ones, right? That's essentially what I would say is the focus here, all right? And then let's go back to NNDM. I'll probably start there. Before we do and go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. I don't think I have any, really, there's one old one up there, but I will draw some horizontal support and resistance lines as I manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, I think the common theme across these three stocks really is the NASDAQ has been going up, ridiculously up, you can say, since this September month start, right? When we looked at all three of them, I mean, this thing's basically been flat at best, right? NNDM, SSYS. Yeah, you can say, okay, this one has a better uptrend. I didn't really notice it here, but yeah, that definitely has a better uptrend. And then how about DDD? Did it? Give or take, you can say it kind of did, but yeah, I really didn't see. I think two things. I didn't see the best connection to the Nasdaq, and really, you saw it as I went through these. I saw that they were very much disjointed, right? generally speaking, most sectors should be in unison, and the tickers within them kind of should be, right? A little interesting to see this one flat, one of them having a nice little uptrend, kind of matching the Nasdaq a little bit, and then you saw like a partial, right? So just a little odd there, but really I think it's all about the technicals and it's all about the escape of all the moving averages. All right, NNDM definitely is overall 5 on the last two candles, right? Clearly that closed there and this one closed here. I don't think that this is enough for me. Number one, this Friday candle broke 5 moving averages on a single day. All right, it's really hard to get over a single line, let alone two, let alone three, let alone all 5. You know what I mean? So if this was real, I would have expected significantly better confirmation today. To me, this is almost a doji. You have a very equal wick up and down, obviously a bigger body than normal, right? But yeah, some people thought it should have flown. Some people thought it should have gone back down and come back. I mean, I don't see enough to believe. And look, I see the golden crosses on the 8 and the 100. Kind of seems like it's going to golden cross the 50. I still think there's a very real chance that it comes down to 225, give or take, okay? I think it's a little better and maybe a little more confident to think it's going to go up, but really this needs to close over 250. All right, you can actually see 252 is what I'm clicking on in this July candle. That's what we're going to need to get over. What's 50% of this? Well, that's basically where we're at. And there's a lot of tops that hits, right? We're hitting kind of the top of this, top of this, top of this, and you saw it. I was clicking on that 50% candle right here. So this is an interesting resistance for sure. But yeah, I think 250, 252 specifically is what this thing needs to close over. So definitely a big difference between being over lines and breaking lines, right? MACD looks good. RSI looks good. Volume obviously isn't that bad. It is all about the moving averages, and it really is about making you believe that we've broken the 200 on the daily. Same real big test. Look at that. This thing's sitting at 253. So let's just raise it a couple cents. I think our money line is 258. Maybe even wait till like 260. I'll actually set a 260 alert. Look, an alert's not immediate buy notification, but yeah, I think NNDM looks very interesting over 260, especially since we see that's a good place on the daily and the weekly. Coming into DDD. So I personally like the name of the stock. It's 3D printing and it's DDD. I've just little silly things like that I love. Look, it's the exact same story, right? We are trying to break all 5 and fly. We just can't do it, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. Maybe we're setting up and trying again, right? I think the one interesting caveat, like I said earlier in the video, right, in the opening thoughts, other tech sectors have taken off, right? AI stocks are flying, even the smaller little random ones, right? Quantum computing stocks are flying, even the little random ones, right? 3D printing, I think, is a really interesting technology, and I think it's very much a futuristic technology. And hey, I think you can even make a connection to AI and quantum computing. I'm sure the smartest and the best of the 3D printers probably are going to want to connect to some sort of AI infrastructure, maybe something that's powered by some sort of quantum brain, right? So again, maybe it's a little overreaching. Maybe I'm trying to find something in the air that's not quite there. But hey, if you can make a connection to other hotter sectors and you know the market believes it and likes it, it's always a good thing, right? But the whole story here is the 200 moving average. Sorry, I clicked the wrong line, right? As we zoom back out on DDD, we have not been over the 200 moving average very well since basically here, since July 2023. Right? More than a year, probably more than a year and a half, I think, if I'm just doing some quick math in my head, right? So that purple line is very difficult. But yeah, if we can break it, I mean, the next line up I have really is here. Let's delete those lines. I think those are bad lines. Let's draw some fresh ones for DDD. Nothing happened. Come on, one more try. Delete drawings, delete all. All right, we're gonna have to ignore those. I apologize. So look, I think I'm looking for that right there next. Okay, that's a little too high. I don't think that's our confirmation number, though. What are you? That's too low. We'll take 50% candle. Yeah, that's kind of the bottom of that guy, too. Oh, that's too low. That's that line. Oh, that's unfortunate right there. This is the best candle I can pick. All right, it's giving me the top of that, bottoms of that. We wick that. All right. I actually would wait till 337. There aren't, maybe you can make the argument for 350. I think 350 is an arguable line now that I'm seeing it. It's kind of the top of this thing. It's in the middle of that. I think this is the stronger line. I actually would want to break 377. Let me delete this line manually. Let me add the value here. I think if you break 377, it actually might be a really fast fly to 230. I can probably draw a line here around 5. I think I'll draw that. I think that's actually a decent line right there. I think it's a little higher up, something like that. 499, look at that right there, right? So bottom of that guy, bottom of that guy, bottom of that guy, top of that. I think 377, 5, and 630 are the way up. I would not believe it's going to head up until it broke 377 well. Like I said, maybe 350 depending on your risk tolerance, but that's a really tight cluster of all 5 moving averages. It's really hard to break clusters. Sometimes you go really high up and then come back down for no reason. I think getting over that hopefully should be too high to bring back into the cluster, but that's, I think, the number that I believe. Let's take a look at the weekly. Look at that. I like that line a lot more. You get over this line, you're over the 50 on the weekly, you're over the all 5 and the 200 on the daily. I think that's a good line right there. And then SSYS. So I remember this one being the king of the AIs yeah, look at this thing, right? This thing was pushing well over the hundreds. I don't think DDD ever got that high. Oh, it did. Interesting. I would say DDD tanked a little bit quicker, and I say that with love and no disrespect, right? But SSYS at least gets there, kind of tries to reattempt, and then obviously follows the path, right? But I think this one might be the industry leader. I think the very interesting thing to say is, hey, the volume isn't that good here, right? This one's only 800K. When we were looking at NNDM, that was at least at 3 point something million, right? And then looking at DDD, this was just a little bit higher at 4 million, right? So I'm a little surprised to see the volume so low on SSYS. Nonetheless, okay, we are over all 5 moving averages, and we actually are and have been riding that 8 pretty well. We lost it for a moment, but the 20 moving average did the job very well. It's interesting to see this climb from 7 to 10 something, and we've never confirmed a single thing. That got over all the moving averages, doesn't confirm. That got over all the moving averages. Those are all dojis and don't count. That's a good candle. Those are all dojis and red candles that don't count. There's never, that's a good candle, that don't count. Like, that's a good candle. That one really isn't, right? So maybe tomorrow's is going to be the confirmation and takeoff, but it's interesting to see this thing move so well and really not confirm at all. Couple things that I'm seeing. Nice. We're basically at that point right there. The next real line I would see is for sure here. Let me see what half of this one looks like. I don't even think that's very important of a line. I'm gonna draw that. That's probably exactly where I just moved it from, I think. It's the top of that, bottom of those, half of that, bottom of those, kind of half of that. What's the money line though? I haven't given us the money line yet. Oh, that's too close. It's somewhere right there. Oh, we wicked that today. 1055. I think 1055 is the money line here. I'll do 1056. Again, not an immediate buy notification. It's a come check it out. But yeah, it's crazy to see the uptrend without confirmation. I'm telling you, that doesn't happen too often, especially with volume this low in my, not, I've seen lower, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like offend that number, but it's an interesting little chart right here to say the least. Where are we on the weekly? Yeah, this is, excuse me, a little hiccup right there. I think a lot of the movement is explained on the weekly. This is a lovely channel from the 20 to the 50 with a whole lot of red, green, green, red, green, green. I mean, that's basically what all that was, right? So I think it makes sense a little bit more here. But again, one good candle and a whole mess of dojis till this candle. You know what I mean? It's still a little odd when you look at it. But overall, I like these 3. I think it's an interesting play, especially because, hey, we're kind of seeing maybe some cool off on the NASDAQ and maybe a little cool off on those other ones. Maybe this one the sector can take advantage of it, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, hey, thank you so much.